Hi, guys. So before we dive in, I want to share something I'm really loving right now. It's called Wilder 33, a farm to bottle apothecary line of sublingual herb remedies designed to shift your emotional state and elevate your frequency in seconds. Each formula blends organic botanicals and wild crafted flower essences to support calm, confidence, connection, and clarity, as well as my ultimate favorite love potion with Damiana and Emerald for heart clearing and magnetism. Just a few drops under the tongue is enough to feel a shift. You can explore the Wilder 33, and that's WYLDER33.com. And as a gift to In the Naad listeners, use code NAAD20 for 20% off your order. Thanks. Enjoy. Har Hari Khalsa, welcome.
Thank you.
It is such an honor to have the OG here sitting with me.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get to it. Why don't you give the audience a little bit about your background? We'll talk about sort of your history in the Sikh hood and how you've sort of become your own universe,
Right.
which is actually apropos because the name of your company is the Transformational Healing Universe, which, by the way, is a super sexy name for a healing center.
Yeah, my wife chose it.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of your history, because I want people to understand like how far out there you really are.
Okay. Well, I came from a very traditional Jewish upbringing, not Orthodox, more like Reformed Jewish, and I bar mitzvah, the whole 9 yards. But I realized very young that Judaism in that form didn't really have a whole lot to offer, because I was like already searching when I was a teenager. I knew there was something out there, but didn't quite know what it was. And I started reading books about yoga, and I was like, what's yoga? And I ended up going to Hatha yoga first, and then Kundalini. It was 1980. I took my first Kundalini yoga class at the University of Oregon. Completely blown away. I was like, wow, what? This is amazing. And so I started going to the ashram, doing sadhana in Eugene, Oregon. And after that, I met Yogi Bhajan, which was quite amazing at that time.
I would imagine.
I actually started meeting him in my dreams initially. Most people, I haven't shared this story, but the first time I met him was I was working on a boat in the Caribbean. It was a 100-foot Spanish galleon, 100-year-old boat, and I was like a first mate on this boat. And when you dream on a ship in the ocean, your dreams are way more intense. I don't know why that is, but
stars,
you're just connected with everything.
Exactly.
So I had this profound dream one night, and in the dream there was this guy. I didn't know who he was, and he was a big, burly guy. He looked like a sumo wrestler, but I didn't know who he was. But he was chasing me in the dream. And in the dream, he caught me. And I'm like, oh, shit. And then he killed me in the dream. And then I woke up. And I'm like, the fuck was that?
That's some Sikh warrior shit.
Who was that? Like, I didn't know who it was even. I was like, that was the weirdest dream I've ever had. And then about 6 months later, I was in Los Angeles. And I was sitting, this is where it gets really freaky. I was sitting in front of the Gurdwara. And I'm just sitting there, this is the first Gurdwara I've ever been to. Gurdwara is a Sikh, church, temple, whatever. Yeah. And they serve food, so that was my main motivation, was the Indian food, right? And so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, my body starts vibrating, like I'm in an earthquake. And I'm like, what? What's going on? And then the next thing I know, he comes out. Yogi Bhajan comes out of the ashram, and I'm like, that's the guy in my dream. Oh, shit. So my mind was pretty much blown at that point. And then I did my first tantric, 1980. It was actually...
kept going deeper and just looking for more of that charge.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
so the first tantric, 1980. And the thing that was interesting about that tantric was the same weekend that John Lennon was assassinated. And when I went home, this is really trippy. I've never shared this story, but when I went home after that tantric, I was laying in my bed and I had this profound dream of doves, literally thousands of doves being released, in the eye. And then the next day I found out that John Lennon had been assassinated. So it was like his soul was good. I mean, I literally saw it. It was incredible. Incredible.
So would you say that these visions, that you're a little psychic? Would you say that you have some psychic ability?
I don't claim that at all because I don't think of myself as that. I think of myself more as a doctor. But I have these, throughout my whole life, I've had these profound kind of visions. And
so maybe a seer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably, but I want to write books about it when I'm done being a doctor. I'm not done being a doctor quite yet.
Yeah, but you're not a traditional doctor.
No,
so
that's
true. You wear a lot of hats,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but I haven't. The books I want to write are. We'll talk about some of the topics, but
okay.
But getting back to the history of that. So when I met him, I went to one of his yoga classes that he was teaching at that time. He actually taught in the ashram.
In the ashram.
And I was sitting at the back of the room. There was probably 250 people in the room. And he looks at me during the class, in the middle of the class. He looks right at me. It was like a portal had opened. He looks right at me and he goes, "Be careful on your trip." Right in the middle of the class. I'm like, what? What? He's talking to me? Because I was going on a trip the next day. I was going to go travel across country to go to Boulder, Colorado, to go skiing. I wanted to be a ski bum. That was my path at that point. Yeah, but what happened though was ended up there in Boulder, but it was weird that he had communicated to me literally during the class. He spoke directly, but I'm almost sure it wasn't. It was a psychic connection, literally, but it felt real, like he was actually saying it to me. So that kind of tripped me up. And then anyway, I ended up going to Boulder. No snow. It was a drought year, and so I thought, well, there's a Kundalini Yoga ashram here. I'm into doing sadhana. Let me go talk to these people. So I show up at their front door and they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, I'm into the yoga. And they said, "Well, in order for you to move into the ashram and be part of the cult," I mean, you can call it a cult, whatever. I didn't care about that. Okay. But anyway, they said, "Listen, we've had a lot of vagrants coming through that aren't really serious. We need to know that you're serious. So you need to come to sadhana at 3:30 every morning for 40 days. And then we can let you move in." So I did it. And then, amazingly, at that time, doing sadhana in that ashram, Yogi Bhajan would appear in the room during sadhana, floating in the room. I would see him meditating and floating in the room. And one of the visions, he was sitting on his little bench or whatever, and all the women who were serving him were just bringing him things, food, and it was an unending line of people serving him. And then one day, Yogi Bhajan came to town and taught a tantric, because he was doing it back then. It was the early 80s. And in the break, you could go up and ask him a question. He was very chill kind of thing. So I went up to him. I said, "Oh, hi, sir. I just wanted to talk to you because I've never talked to you before," which is true. But then he says, "Why are you lying?" I'm like, What? He goes, "I talk to you all the time in your dreams." I'm like, oh, my God. And my mind's just getting blown after blown after blown. I'm like, oh, my God.
And as a seeker, you're like, I found my place.
Yeah. So, and then I ended up going to New Mexico where the solstices were, and I worked in the children's camp at that time, and we would stay up in Ramdas Puri for 6 weeks at a time. So I really got to know that land and really got immersed into the whole energy of Ramdas Puri, which was amazing. And at that time, I really didn't know what I was going to do, because I was kind of on a pre-med path in school. Like I was pretty much interested in medicine at that point. But the thing was, it was a couple of factors that were confounding me going to medical school. One being, I wanted to join the Army, ROTC, to have a full scholarship, because that's what they do. If you join the ROTC, you get a full scholarship. I'm like, that's a no-brainer. This is great. So I went in the ROTC office, right? You know what they tell me? We don't take Sikhs. I'm like, I'm an American citizen. What the fuck? You don't take Sikhs? It really pissed me off. But probably in the end, it probably was a good thing, because I found out a little later that, that especially at that time, if you went to medical school, you're brainwashed, completely brainwashed.
So, okay, I'm going to jump in here because this is sort of where we go on this podcast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the brainwashing of the medical system.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really important for people to hear. And I think that post-COVID, people are open to it. I think it was a topic that was really, especially here in California, you could not discuss.
Yeah.
And I think those doors are flinging open.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, would you tell us a little bit about
back then, I mean, it was just,
Now, let's bring it up to now.
Okay, so, then and now, any medical school in this country is all designed around, Western medicine, which is basically the drug surgery model, and it's separating the parts of the body, the mind from the body. It's total separation of every system of the body, and almost no doctors in the Western system are integrative, meaning they're working with the whole person, body, mind, spirit, integrating all the knowledge of Chinese medicine, chiropractic, naturopathic, homeopathy, herbs. That's integrative medicine, right? And so they don't do that. And they don't do that for a reason, because 100 years ago, Rockefeller came in with the Flexner. He hired this guy named Flexner, and Flexner made a report, and at that time, there were over 300 homeopathic, naturopathic schools in this country. And basically, they outlawed them and got rid of them all.
They outlawed them?
They outlawed them and got rid of them all. And the only schools that remained that were even close to that kind of thing were the chiropractic schools. They tried to get rid of them as well. They jailed the chiropractors back at that time. But what happened is because chiropractors were well organized, D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer, who were the originators, father, son, they basically became an army, and they defeated Western medicine in regards that they got licensing that was recognized by every state in the union for chiropractic.
Is that why you took the chiropractic
Partly,
because it was open to you?
Yeah, and also I was advised by a medical doctor back then. He said, "Hey, listen, you go there, they're going to brainwash you out of how you think right now." And I actually had a friend that we kind of grew up together in the Sikh organization. He was a cool guy, a surfer, really bright guy, and he went the medical route. He was probably smarter than me too, on top of it. But he was, he went the medical route, and he became a different person.
Right.
Totally different person.
And I don't know that intelligence has so much to do with it. I think it's really about being an independent thinker.
Well, that's the thing. He lost the independence.
He lost the independence.
He lost it. And I think it actually tortured him I became friends with a lot of medical doctors in the Sikh organization because they were being brought in by Yogi Bhajan, like people who went to Yale, top medical people. In fact, I even worked with one, Dr. Saram. When I first got out of chiropractic school, I worked with Dr. Saram and in Cedar Sinai. I was the only chiropractor in entire Cedar Sinai, which was kind of cool, but also trippy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But, so that's kind of the thing. And it really, I hope, my prayer is that these medical schools open up to this whole concept of integrative wellness, because in truth, there shouldn't be any separation, because what they do is actually invaluable. Western medicine is actually amazing for certain things.
Agreed. And the body is a system.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't isolate the parts.
Right.
Right. And
you can't, in the sense of, let's say, a specialist who handles a specific type
broken arm, of course.
Broken arm, a torn ligament, or any kind of trauma surgeon. Those people are God's gift to humanity in my regard. Like, those people are lifesavers. Where it kind of goes south is when doctors don't do their own due diligence on their own, because they're being controlled by the system that's herding them like cattle to go in one direction. they're incentivized to go in that direction by many different levels of enticement, carrots. There's a carrot and a stick, and basically they're controlled by the carrot and the stick. You know, the rewards they get incentivized when they give a vaccine. I was like blessed in a way because I literally had everything stripped away from me.
Yeah, that is a blessing. People don't get it, but that's a blessing.
And it just made me so open to whatever, like anything. You know, because
How'd you have it stripped? What happened?
Well, my first wife, who we had 17 years of marriage, 3 wonderful children, she got breast cancer. Diagnosed 2001. And she died in 2005. And basically, we had built up a very successful business. We had savings. We had a house, all this stuff. And, you know, I made a decision. I was going to do whatever it took to save her, and pretty much drained everything we had. And that was it. Done. I was basically penniless when she died.
Don't you think that starting from scratch and that sort of new beginning and that battle when you're older in life and you're able to see looking back, don't you think that's a turning point?
It was. I mean, it basically humbled me, number one. It took away all of any preconceived idea I had about anything. And I went to a very minimal existence for like 10 years.
So it cracked you open.
Yeah. And then I was introduced to ayahuasca at that time, 10 years after she died. I mean, that really cracked me open.
Oh, that cracks
like,
us all open.
That was like, oh, God. But I think, in a way, it was actually perfect because I had so much experience meditating, practicing yoga, that when I had that experience, I had the nervous system to contain it.
Right.
And that's a huge thing. A lot of people go into psychedelics and they don't understand that it's a very serious spiritual tool. And if it's applied, flippantly or not with the proper discipline.
The respect, the discipline.
Yeah, I mean, you can go really in a bad place.
You can go south really fast.
Yeah.
I literally bring my yogic practice in the room in terms of breath work, in terms of focus.
You have to. That's how you survive. I mean, that's literally what kept me through that. I went through about a 3-year period where I did about 30 ayahuasca journeys with this Shipibo-trained shaman who's like my brother, my soul. I mean, I love him so dearly. He is an amazing human. He's very controversial. He'd be a great guest for you guys.
Bring him on.
He lives in the Sacred Valley in Peru right now. And he studied with all the major tribes in the Amazon. And his musical skills are beyond anything I've ever.
But I think music is something else you bring into the rooms with you, and it really helps guide you. So I will only do it with. Actually, my shaman is a female, and she's a songstress.
Yeah, it's all about the music.
It really is.
Just, So anyway, but getting back to the medical model, the thing is, it's gonna change because it has to change. One thing that's happening,
changing.
But one thing that's happening that I think is extremely fascinating and revealing about what's happening right now is that I got identified by the government as a valuable asset, meaning they hired me as an advisor for the U.S. military to advise them on biohacking, which has been what I've pretty much been doing for the last 36 years. And, they basically, identified me. And the vision that they're telling me is that, whatever we create in the first base, which is Fort Cavazos in Texas, which used to be Fort Hood. It's the largest Army base in the world, 350 square miles. They have between 4 and 6 suicides a month on average in that base. So they know they have a serious problem, and they know they have to do some crazy stuff to change the ethos of how the culture is there.
That's fascinating, actually. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So we're going to bring in the whole suite of biohacking, but also including different psychedelics, iboga, 5-MeO, DMT, because that's actually being used right now with vets.
Oh yeah, I know a guy's been bringing vets down there to Mexico for 20 years.
So we'll be soon bringing it right to them where they're at. So it's exciting, Very exciting.
This reminds me of the LSD trips that the government used to use in the army back in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, the 650. Yeah, they were doing different types of.
I think it was LSD, wasn't it?
The LSD and mescaline things. Yeah, they were doing kind of nefarious things. I would say it wasn't geared more towards healing.
Right.
We're really gearing it towards helping soldiers overcome PTSD and brain trauma.
So conscious government, if things are changing. I mean, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see the dialogue opening up. I think that Bobby Kennedy coming into the administration.
Yeah, we're going to have him come as soon as he comes back to LA. He's going to be in our office.
I mean, what a miracle! Really.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean it is kind of a miracle. I think when Trump was shot at and he didn't die, I watched the whole thing happen and I was like, wow, God is intervening here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm a Trumpster, but I know that the guy he's a Gemini. Our birthdays are literally one day apart. So he's an open thinker. Not saying that he's a perfect person.
I get it. I agree. I understand what you're saying.
He's brought in people like Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and these people that are definitely elevated.
Also, it was inevitable because the pendulum had gone so far in the other direction with Fauci. Yeah. There was no way that it wasn't going to swing.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's just the way life works, right? That's the way energy works.
I guess it's all divine planning because I think that's at the end of the day is what's really going on here is divine planning. Not our plan, it's God's plan.
Right. And I think that, God's left it up to us to some degree, right? And we keep swinging back and forth. But I think that the more advanced we become and the more conscious we become, sort of we settle somewhere in the middle of that pendulum. Yeah. And then we let God's work unravel and we're able to see it.
Yeah.
But, we've been so blinded by this whole Piscean mentality and, money rules. And I think that that's going to take a back seat.
Yeah. No, I feel it. I'm connecting with so many people right now that are just amazing.
There was a time these were all secret conversations. Yeah. Right? These were little salons at people's houses where they'd talk about, how advanced they were. And now, we're talking about it on a podcast. Yeah. And believe me, we're not the only one. That's for sure.
Yeah, the whole thing about the military and what's happening, as soon as the grant is finalized, Mike Torja, who's the guy that I'm working with on this, he's going on Joe Rogan. So the whole thing is going to be talked about on Joe Rogan. There's a
great book called Stealing Fire. Have you read this book?
I think I've heard about it.
Yeah. And who wrote that? I can't remember, but it was, Haley, do you know who wrote Stealing Fire, the book? Can you look it up for us? It was, and they talk about all the work that they were doing with the Navy SEALs and trying to recreate flow state.
Oh, there you go.
And so they've been working on this stuff for quite a while.
And you know what? I have the answer for that, by the way. Well, I figured it out.
Can I hear? No, I'd like to hear.
It's crazy, but it has to do with a board, a hoverboard. It's called a one wheel. I don't know if are you familiar?
The ones that you see on the street, where it's just the one
wheel.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Not the ones that it's between, but the one where you're balancing like you're on a hoverboard or a snowboard.
You mean the old 70s one where it's just a piece of wood?
No, it's not 70s. It was built, I think the original ones were 10 years ago.
Got it.
But the ones they have now, they recreate this flow state. It takes a little time to learn it, but as soon as you learn it, you're literally you can be in total flow state unending for hours at a time, basically.
Well, don't you think that anything like even playing the guitar or surfing or meditating, anything where you're...
But I'm just saying because with surfing or snowboarding, you have to go somewhere. You have to go to the beach. You have to go to the mountains. With a one wheel, you just throw it on the sidewalk and there you go.
More like meditation. You can do it anywhere.
Anywhere. You can. So I just started doing it. I saw someone doing it one day at the beach. And I was in a kind of altered state because I was playing with my sacred medicine. And I was observing the guy, and I was like, oh, my God, I need to learn this. And I just got obsessed.
Have you mastered it yet?
Yeah, I have. It took about 2 weeks. Yeah, no, I'm totally obsessed with it. I have a friend, he's been doing it for 10 years.
Watch it, you can hurt yourself.
Oh, I already have. I get it, it's dangerous. But that's part of the allure is the danger. I like danger.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think, hold on. So you said you started this conversation by saying that you were a seeker.
Yeah.
I think part of being a seeker, I mean, danger could be put in front of that word too. I mean, a truth seeker, yeah, great. Yeah. But you're also a danger seeker because you don't seek the truth without realizing that you're going through that tunnel of danger. Psychedelics as well.
Oh, yeah. No, my first psychedelic experience was the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced.
Horrifying. Like, you're trying to convince people to do it, and then you tell them that it's the scariest experience you've had.
Well, it's literally death. You're going through your own death. I mean, which after I got through it, I realized it was like, for number one is there is no death. And so the whole cult of death that COVID was, that, where we created this whole fear mechanism, they used the fear of death to control everybody.
Of course, it's the greatest manipulation tool in the world.
But when you realize there is no death, that it's just a change in state, then why are you afraid of?
Separation, I think, is a big one. Right. I think separation is scarier, actually, than death itself.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all an illusion. All of it's an illusion.
All an illusion.
And that's the thing that people have to learn.
How do we get people there?
Well, this is the cool thing. There's this Swami that's here right now today. He's actually upstairs
in the house.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Swami.
Okay, let's hear about it.
We met him, God, it's been since like January, I think, is when I met him.
Do you want to do a little interview with him after this? Do you want to get him down here?
Yeah, but I want to give a little story about him. And the story, that it actually ties in exactly to what we're talking about, because his mission on the planet is to introduce meditation and basically what we're talking about, like, being able to change states of consciousness to young children all over the world.
Yeah, I think that I think that's invaluable, and I think it has to happen. And all these schools here promised to do that. Meditation was going to be on the itinerary. Never.
Well, he actually came to this country on the behest of Cory Booker, senator from
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
He brought him here. And as soon as he got here, he had a 36-page business plan for companies, basically. And the first company he went to was Deloitte Consulting.
Deloitte Touche?
Deloitte. Yeah. So he went to them. They have millions of employees. He presented his plan. They hired him on the spot, and they gave him $350,000 right then. And so what he did was then he went to Santa Monica, and he got this beautiful space that used to be the Tesla showroom on 3rd Street Promenade, and he rented it. And so it just so happened that the owner of the building, his son had autism. So in one treatment, Swami healed the son.
What was the treatment?
He basically just prays for you. I mean, it's hard to say how that works, but basically his prayer heals people. To the point where he told me that when he comes off the mountain, because he lives in a cave at 17,000 feet in the Himalayas, he's been doing that for 30 years.
Where's he from?
From India. And he became a monk at age 9. And he moved up into the Himalayas at age 14. And he's been there ever since. But anyway, when he comes off the mountain, literally hundreds of people come to him for healing. And he will just literally take their disease into his own body, dissolve it, and they get healed. And we're talking cancers.
Well, I have a son who's actually has a neurological disease. It's called spinal muscular atrophy. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's like, it presents like ALS for children. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I would love to have him.
He should definitely see him. But anyway, he came here, he started this yoga center, really just with the intent to start sharing his message, and now, but he has to go back because his master, who's a Swami also, he passed away. So now he's become the master Swami in all of India.
So he has to go back to his...
So he has to go back to India to help initiate thousands of Swamis.
Right.
And they do, their initiation is 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days of 14-hour-a-day meditation in silence. They don't talk for that long period of time.
And isn't there, what is the crown jewel? Isn't there something to do with a snake or a cobra?
Well, yeah, they go through a whole initiation. They use different sacred substances, cannabis, and various other ones too. He could probably tell you more, but the crowning one is the king cobra, where they take the cobra and the cobra bites them in the tongue, and that's their final initiation into the Swami order. And by the way, that's the same order. He's a direct lineage of Yogananda. Yogananda's last name was Giri. That's Swami's last name, Giri.
That's those are the Khalsas of got it.
Yeah, they're the highest level.
Got it.
Yeah. And so he's amazing. Like, he's also a master in Ayurveda. Like, the top Ayurvedic doctors consult with him for their toughest cases.
Well, we're going to get him down here.
Yeah.
I want to, we'll get him down here soon, and I'll have you interview him. We'll do something really off the record. We'll bring him down, and you'll basically interview him on my podcast. How's that sound?
Sounds awesome.
Before we close this podcast, I just want to talk to you a little bit about my passion, which is frequency. And not just my passion, I think Tesla's passion, and about your healing universe.
Yeah.
And I've been to it, and it's incredible. I mean, some of the technologies in there are insane. Yeah. And I just want you to give the audience a little bit of an idea, because we're going to get the Swami down here. So I just want you to give our audience a little bit of idea of what happens when you introduce frequency and electricity into the human body.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I'm going to start with my story of how I found out about this. When I graduated chiropractic school, it was 1988. And in about 1990, I got my hands on this book. And I think it was through the Cancer Control Society, which I don't think it no longer exists. The people running it got very old, but back then there was a yearly convention. It was called the Cancer Control Society, and all these alternative people would go there. And I went there in 1990, and I found this book called The Life of Royal Raymond Rife.
Is this the Rife machine? The guy who started the Rife machine?
It was the story of Royal Raymond Rife, who used frequency to cure cancer. And it was written, his main part of his life where he did that was in the 1920s and 30s. And he was actually endorsed at that time by USC. And they did a study with 16 patients who all had advanced cancer. And he would take their blood and identify the organism that he felt was the underlying cause of the cancer. And he would tune the frequency, like we're talking about, to blow up that organism. And so what they did is he then would irradiate them with a plasma beam of that same frequency that he identified in his microscope, and all 16 people got better. The cancer went away. I read that book, 1990, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, the right.
This is real? Like, I never heard of this. And it was like, okay. It was just like, it's like God hands you a gift. And I was like, wow. And shortly after I read that book, like no less than a week, I meet this woman. Her name's Phoenix. And she's working in the cancer clinics with a Rife machine to the specifications of Rife. I'm like, how is this possible? So anyway, I ended up getting trained by her. And I ended up buying the equipment, putting it in the clinic, and we started treating patients with it. And lo and behold, pretty much everyone we treated with it got better. And so that was my intro to this whole phenomenon of frequency and voltage. And since then, the field has exploded. Exploded.
It's huge. It's the next gen.
Yeah, and the things I've seen with just the equipment we have in our clinic are mind-blowing. Like earlier this year, we had a glioblastoma patient that we literally treated his brain every day for 40 days, 4 hours a day with a pulse, which is high voltage and frequency into the brain. He didn't really believe that he was going to get better.
Now, was he doing chemo at the same time?
No. The medical doctor's like, you don't really have a chance to survive.
We're giving up on you.
Pretty much. That's why he came to us, because he had
last chance.
No hope.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. He called me, and he was checking out every clinic in the country and also Mexico. And I told him what my plan would be, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go with you guys. So he did. And after being with us for 40 days, doing that, along with a lot of other therapies too, red light. And we also should talk about Therify, which is high voltage golden mean ratio device where you lay in a 500,000 volt field. They just had a similar case that the glioblastoma disappeared.
And none of these are FDA approved. I just want to make that
they're
clear.
not. They're not medical devices. They're
not medical devices, but they work.
They work amazingly. Anyway, so there was another case recently, same diagnosis. His glioblastoma went away.
And let me just make one more thing clear. The reason that they're not FDA approved is because they make it impossible.
No, they don't make it impossible. It's the funding that it takes to do the research.
The research
and by the way,
trials.
there are some devices.
Yeah, for the ears. There's some I forgot what the disease is.
There's one that we use that's called an ear-cornea laser. It has 20 double blind placebo-controlled tests at the level of any drug. They have 20 of them over the last 20 years. That laser's efficacy uses frequency. It's using a very low-level laser with frequency. And they found with those lasers, there's green, violet, and red. When you work with those 3 wavelengths of light, it activates all 4 complexes in your mitochondria. Every disease at the base is a mitochondria. So when you can turn on every part of the mitochondria with light, you have a very powerful tool.
Now, are light and sound the same thing?
They're different. It's just different ways of applying.
Delivery system?
Yeah, so I use all 3. I mean, we use light, we use sound, we use electromagnetics, we use oxygen, and we use CO2. That's the latest thing we're using is CO2. Most people think, CO2 is a toxin. There's too much CO2 in the atmosphere. Well, guess what? CO2 has been in medicine for 350 years. Paracelsus talked about it. Over 100 years ago, there was a whole medical textbook written on how CO2 kills almost every condition. And so I learned about it just recently at the biohacking convention. That's why I go to biohacking.
That's where I ran into you.
Yeah. And so I tested the device, started reading the research. Unbelievable. It's the most efficacious therapy for your mitochondria, even more than exercise. And you can breathe it, and you can also bathe in it. Like full bodysuit where you're bathing in CO2 literally heals every problem in the body in one treatment. I'm not saying...
Is it a liquid or is it... it's a gas. It's a gas,
just like the stuff they put in your soda drink.
Right.
CO2. And
is that what they use in the... what are the cold machines called again that I use all the time? The you step in, it's like a negative 200.
Oh, no, that's nitrogen.
That's nitrogen.
No,
that's
CO2 is just a gas.
Right.
But anyway, what it does is it causes the red blood. It's a trigger, actually, for your red blood to release oxygen into your tissue. And when you do it enough, what it does is it creates it increases your vascularization. So it grows new blood vessels, neovascularization. It grows all over your body. It regrows your body.
So it's totally regenerative.
It's unbelievable. And it's cheap, too. Very cheap therapy. They used to, 100 years ago, before Western medicine kind of took over, they used this in hospitals to treat young children that had severe lung conditions. They'd heal them in just one session.
So you have all of these devices at your... Yeah, and why don't you tell everybody where you're located and how
We're
to contact
in
you?
West LA on Robertson, just south of Pico. It's called Transformational Healing Universe. The website's thuheal.com.
thuheal.com on Robertson.
And most of the stuff we're talking about is there. You can go deep diving and learn a lot of stuff on that website.
And if it's not there, you can catch this guy and he'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you. And, yeah.
So first of all, you're fascinating. Yeah. I'm so aligned with everything you say. It's incredible. Yeah.
By the way, one thing I want to just share.
Yeah, tell me.
This thing here.
Let's see.
Look at this thing. We're talking about frequency and rife. Guess what this is? This little device.
A mini rife?
It's mini, but it's 3 times the power of a clinical unit. and it's programmed by the guy who makes the Spooky 2 Rife machine.
I know the Spooky.
So this is the inventor, and he made the antenna, the array antenna, that it's a scalar array. It produces a energy field that's about 3 meters diameter. I've given this to people, random people with different conditions. Totally heals them in a half an hour. Because there's also wealth program in here for what, like somebody needs to abundance. Well, this guy was telling me, I was at the biohacking conference.
But let me just explain this to everybody. So everything is a frequency, including abundance.
Yeah.
Right. And the way that you generate abundance is through your frequency and your comfort with it and your understanding that you can achieve it. And so that's part of what he's saying. So a frequency, it's not like magic. It doesn't make you rich, but it
raises your energy.
It raises your energy.
Yeah.
level.
So basically, what happened is this friend of mine, he was kind of kvetching. It's a Yiddish term for complaining. My ancestors come from Eastern Europe, so I have that in me too. He was kvetching, and I'm like, okay, why don't you just throw this in your pocket? And I put it on the well thing, and so we eat dinner. It's like 2 hours go by. We eat dinner. He comes. We go out of the restaurant, and he goes, "I got to tell you something." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "While we were eating dinner, someone sent me $5,000." He goes, "That's literally never happened in my life." He goes, "This thing is like a miracle."
So is that an abundance program? Are you programmed? So you program that device for whatever.
And then it just sends your body.
So it is the It's a mini Rife.
It's a mini Rife machine.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was totally blown away by it. Totally.
But you and I aren't, because we realize it's all.
But I thought it was
it's
just
all
so
universal
cool.
magic.
But it's so cool that it can just happen so quick, like no time at all. Like
I think we're getting a little nod here. Okay,
we're wrapping.
So we're wrapping.
Okay.
One more time, give us your website.
It's thuheal.com.
Okay, you're awesome. You're fucking awesome. I'm so psyched. I'm coming down to hang out with you at your place. Sweet. And are we going to do this interview right now with Swami?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, let's do it.
Let's get him.